What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott of Phoenix Coaching in London, Ontario. And today we have a really good show. It was really interesting to me because if you've been watching the show, then you know that I do a bit of an outline in the morning, get myself in the right headspace and, note anything that I really want to make sure that I talk about on the show. And this morning, the process of writing that outline was just so easy, and it's so funny to me because I think that it probably was so easy because this is something that is very familiar territory for me. Yeah, so our show today is called Becoming a Reformed Rescuer. And we are going to be talking about why we feel the need to don our cape and tights and swoop in to rescue the people that we love, and how to let that go so you can have that energy and all of the resources that you use doing that available to you to help you create the things that you would like to create. Ooh, yummy, right? Yeah. All right. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack. We talk a lot about our subliminal soundtrack, and I'll give you just a quick description of that so you'll understand what it means in just a minute. But we talk about how to make it work for you rather than against you. We talk about seeing your unique beauty and value, and also the contribution that you are to the world in general and to the people that you care about. So, how great is it that we can actually come into this place where we can start to understand who we be and how we be in the world and how that changes things, right? Because I guarantee you, if you weren't here, there would be people that would notice. And I think that most of our goals are probably to be something positive that people notice. You know what I mean? Right? Well, we want to be the kind of person that is missed, not the kind of person that people are going, thank God she's gone, right? Yeah. So that's what we talk about on the show. So our show description for today is this. It says, have you ever donned your cape and tights and swooped in to rescue someone else from the situations and circumstances they've created? When we make ourselves someone else's rescuer, what we actually do is rob them of the opportunity to learn from the natural consequences of their actions. Ooh, yeah. It can be hard to allow them to face those consequences when we know that we could fix things for them because, like we're smart. Right? We're smart, we're capable, we got it all figured out. It's so easy for us to figure out how to fix other people's problems. Maybe we should actually turn that back on using those resources and all of that brilliance and gifts to fix our own. I'm just saying, I'm just saying. Might be a lot more productive for us to concentrate on our own stuff rather than the stuff that other people have, right? Anyway, so it can be hard though. It can be hard to watch them face those consequences because we love them and because it hurts. It hurts our hearts, right? Who wants to see their kids or their spouse or their parents or their friends, their good friends walking through something? Oh my God. Walking through something. Uh, you just, man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but you want to love them so much. You want to fix it for them so they don't have to feel it. And it's not even always their fault. It's not even always the consequences of their actions that come up that we can see the pain, we can see the frustration or the anger or the like whatever it is, the ugly. And when we really love people, it's hard to watch them dealing with the ugly, right? Yeah. So the thing of it is though, we are far more helpful to them by offering support and being there with them as they walk through it. You can walk beside somebody without picking up their load, right? We don't have to pick up their bag and throw it on our back to carry for them. And it's not our job to do so. So, this is all about shifting from that space of I need to fix things for everybody else into the space of being a contribution to them, supportive of them, and allowing them whatever it is that they're meant to learn, whatever it is that they're meant to learn and take away from whatever it is that they're walking through. Because in my humble opinion, and I know everybody's got their own belief system, so I'm not trying to push mine on anybody, but in my humble opinion and in my experience, the hardest stuff, the stuff that just the oh wow, the stuff that takes us to our knees is the place where we learn the biggest lessons. It's the place where we can come out of ourselves in such a way that we can start to show up in a much more brilliant, bright, wonderful place, you know? Christine says I have knee pads now. Atta girl, atta girl. We got to do it, man. We got to do it. And as much as we might like to, we cannot walk through those things for somebody. We can help them. We can be there to listen. We can be there to hold space. We can do all kinds of stuff for them. We can even offer advice if they want it. If they want it. That's that's the loving place, because it's not yours to figure out. This is their thing to figure out, right? It's about allowing them to walk their own path on their own journey and honoring and respecting that this is their thing, not mine. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, holy crap. So when we talk about subliminal soundtrack, here's the thing with the subliminal soundtrack. The soundtrack is what plays in the back of our minds. It's on a loop, right? And it plays in the back of our minds all day, every day, 24/7. It is made up of every message that we have ever heard, every experience that we've ever had, every conversation, every time somebody has said something wonderful that made us feel great, every time that someone has said something unkind or hurtful, everything is on your subliminal soundtrack. And it plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no way around it. And it actually influences, and it's even beyond influences. It's what causes us to create our lives in the way that we create them. So the relationships that you bring into your world, with the people that you bring into the world, the jobs that you bring into the world, the type of work, the money flows, all of it is created because of what is playing on our subliminal soundtrack. If we are coming from a place where, we feel beautiful and brilliant and strong and creative, we are going to create a whole different world for ourselves than if we come into it believing that we are unworthy, believing that we are incapable, believing that we are not good enough, all of that kind of stuff. And you can just in those two examples, you can feel it, right? Feel it in your body. Which one feels lighter? Which one feels which one feels heavier? I'm sorry, guys. I've got a dry mouth and a tickle in my throat, so I might have to take a sip, but we're going to keep going and hope that doesn't happen. All right. So, how the subliminal soundtrack relates to this idea of being a rescuer is basically this: if you believe that your value comes from your ability to help people, or that you have to earn their love, that you have to earn their approval, you very likely get caught up at least some of the time in this doing, right? You get caught up in that, and there's a price for that. There's a price for that. The first is that we don't honor them and allow them the learning and the growth that will come from their walking through their own stuff. The second is the toll that it takes on us as individuals, okay? You will very likely end up completely exhausted and spent at some point if you continue to give and never receive in return. Okay. But if you believe that there must be an equal give and take in relationship, equal give and take, that it's your job to love and honor, you will likely find yourself in a position of supporting them rather than rescuing them. And that will result in a healthier dynamic for both of you. Isn't that wonderful? Healthier dynamic of love and support. So, if you're interested in more information about the subliminal soundtrack, please go to phoenixcoach.ca and download your copy of the article that I wrote, Three Easy Ways to Reset Your Subliminal Soundtrack. Now, I need to tell you right now that the name of the business is changing. There's going to be some big changes. This article is going to be renamed. So if you're listening to this, go and find it. Phoenix Coach will still be, or phoenixcoach.ca will still be available, but the name of the website will be changing. So you'll find yourself in a bit of a different place, but you'll still be able to find the article. So go there now, grab your copy. If you have any questions about that, there is a brand new thing going on where I'm setting up something called Calendly. I am learning so much this year. Oh my God, guys, it's crazy. There is a thing called Calendly that allows people to click on a link and book a call with a person. So here's the schedule, and you just go on there and you say, I'd like to book a call for this time on this day. It's very easy to use. I've used it as the person booking the call with someone else many times, and there's, I think, the website ID, whatever domain, whatever it is that goes to that thing is called Book a Call with Jackie. So if you would like to talk about some challenges that you're having with this stuff, go there and book a call. The first call is always free. We can talk about what's going on. We can see what we can figure out while we've got that time. And if there's more that you would like to get out of that, or if there's something deeper that we need to work on, you will have an option to work with me either through a group, or there's so much stuff going on, but I'm getting off track. So I'll share more about that in a little while. All right. So like I said, this particular outline was so easy for me to write. And I know why it was so easy for me to write is because I used to be that person. I used to be that person that thought that my value came from my ability to solve the problems of other people. And, to a certain degree, especially if you're in business, that's important. It's important to be able to present a solution and help people to figure things out. Okay. In my accounting role, that would be about, getting their paperwork straight, getting the numbers together, getting the income taxes filed, all of that kind of stuff. But what I used to do, because I thought my value came from being the person who did that for other people. Follow the language, guys, who did that for the other people, was that I would babysit them. And at a certain point, it became old. It got really old to be the person who was required to chase you and tell you what I needed again. And, it was almost like I would be begging for the information that I needed to do the job that you needed me to do. And how much fun was that? Was it no fun? I promise you, it was no fun. And eventually I got to a point where I said, you know what? You've been in business for however many years. You know what you need. We've been doing this for however long we've been doing this. You know what I need. You know when I need it by. I'm not chasing you anymore. I'm not chasing you anymore. It's your business. If you want to mess around and not do things properly, that's on you. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh, and I promise you, I promise you, it impacted some of those business relationships. Um, but it was the right move for me. I was exhausted, guys. I was exhausted, oh man, it's no fun. And I just decided that I wanted and I deserved to have more fun. And I can make accounting fun. Like, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? And people used to call, well, one person in particular, she contacted me after she came for her tax appointment. This is years ago. And she said, I have never enjoyed meeting with an accounting person so much as I did with you last night. I laughed my head off, and who knew that this could be fun? So what you bring to the table is what you bring to the table. And if you choose to do that whole role of swooping in and rescuing everybody and fixing everything for everybody, then that's okay. I mean, I'm not trying to say that that's wrong, but if you're finding that old and if you'd like to change it, we're going to talk about as we go through some of the things that you can do to start to shift that for yourself. One of the things that I want to say just before we go to break is that I believe that this whole thing, and I know that it was in my personal life, I know that it was in my personal life just as much, if not more, than it was in the business world for me. I had developed this belief that, okay, Have you ever seen Leave It to Beaver? That June Cleaver character, right? The mom. And it was her job to make sure that everybody was washed and fed and clean, and the house was tidied and dinner was cooked and on the table and all of that kind of stuff. That was her job, right? And at a certain point or in certain relationships, that's probably okay, because when you're in a position where one person is responsible for these jobs and one person is responsible for these jobs, then whatever makes sense in your world is fine, as long as you've got some sort of a thing figured out where you're going to take care of these things, I'm going to take care of these things, and maybe that is about wiping butts and cleaning the house and cooking and all that kind of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you choose. God bless you, have at her. But where the I think this has become tricky for my generation in particular is we're sort of that in between place, right? I grew up in a home where mom stayed home, at least for the first several years of my life. And now we're in a position where most families cannot manage without two incomes, which means mom is also working. So mom is taking care of home and working. And there hasn't been like the catch up. There hasn't really been in a lot of the people my age that I talk to. There hasn't been the catch up of, okay, so I'm working, we're both gonna work on the house. I'm working, you're working, we're gonna work together on the house. Got it? So that's the thing. That's the thing. And man, it's about carrying the load. So if you're in a position where you're working and taking care of the house all by yourself, and the other person is working, they get to come home and relax and rest, and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off 24 hours a day. It's not a healthy place to be. It is not a healthy thing for a relationship. There is no give and take. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive. I'm sure I'm way past when we were supposed to go to break, but it's my show. I get to do that. All right, so I am Jackie Mott, your host. We're on Inspired Choices Network. Again, this is Time to Rise and Thrive. Today we are talking about the toll it takes on our body, mind, and spirit when we feel the need to always be the rescuer. So we're going to talk about exactly that when we come back from this break. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about why we feel the need to don our capes and tights and swoop in to rescue people, and how to let that go so that we can then use those emotional resources in our own lives. What could you create? Oh my God, it's so exciting. It's so exciting, but we're going to get there. I'm just like, I'm so excited about this subject today. All right, back on track. Back on track, Jackie. Okay, so one of the things that I want to talk about in this segment is we're going to talk about the toll that it actually takes on us to do this, to take on that role of rescuer. We're going to talk about that. So, one of the things that I heard years ago, and I think I want to say that it was Oprah Winfrey. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I want to say it was Oprah Winfrey. And I remember hearing this person say, "We teach people how to treat us." Let that sink in for a second. We teach people how to treat us. And it's very important to set up healthy dynamics in our relationships because what happens is later, if you get to a point like I did, where you decide that this isn't working, it's not working for me anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm not having any fun. And so we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do this instead. If you've already got those established dynamics in your relationships, it can be really hard on the relationship itself and on the other party to make that shift, sort of midstream. It's not entirely fair. Like really, if we're perfectly honest, it is not entirely fair to establish for, say 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, that this is going to be who I am in your life and then decide one day that no, I'm not doing that anymore. Do you feel that? Like it's not entirely fair to do that. But one of the things I think about this all the time. So we all know the story about Cinderella, right? Cinderella was the character that took care of everyone else's needs. So she was the one who cooked and cleaned and whatever else she did, but she took care of everyone else's needs and nobody met hers. That's the whole, in my humble opinion, that is the whole story in a nutshell. Well, not the whole story, because thankfully in the end, things shift, right? But when you are in that position, when you put yourself in that position, and I'm sorry, but radical personal responsibility, my friend, we put ourselves in that position. Okay. It's our own responsibility, and it's our responsibility to change that when we realize it's not working for us. All right. Anyway, so just play with the energy of that. Play with the energy of being that person who never gets what they need, who always has this unmet place. So you're not getting your emotional fulfillment, you're not getting your physical needs met. You are you are always in this position of work. 24 hours a day. Work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep. How much fun is that? How much fun is that? Truly. And that leads me to the next point is how much fun do you think you are to be around? Mm, how much fun do you think you are to be around if all you are doing is working and carrying weight and carrying responsibilities that probably aren't even your own? Hmm. How much fun, right? If you are constantly depleting yourself and your resources for the benefit of others and never receiving from them in return, I promise you, you are not showing up as the best version of you. Because remember, we've talked about this on the show so many times. We cannot serve from an empty bucket. And even if we do try to continue serving and serving and serving and serving, what are we coming to the table with? There is this space where, resentment will come. There is a place where um, you feel unappreciated, you feel undervalued, and anybody who lives in that space for any length of time is not going to be able to maintain a good feeling about themselves. We must have our needs met in return. We must have equal give and take in our relationships because if we don't, one party is going to feel completely unfulfilled and completely unhappy, and that will poison the entire pond. Okay? It's like peeing in the pool. It poisons the water. We just can't be there. We can't be there for our entire lives. Nobody can survive that way. And if you do survive, it is absolutely not about living and thriving and creating happiness and abundance and wonderfulness all around you. It's not about being creative. It's about work, 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 work. And that takes such a toll. Man. So, one of the things that I was thinking about is how are we actually impacting the people in our lives without even realizing it? So, if you are a mom, just for an example, if you're a mom and you have a son, all right, if your job within the family unit is to cook and clean and work your ass off 24 hours a day, every day, making sure that everybody's got their needs met, making sure that everybody makes it to where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, all of that. If you are the mom of a son, what are you teaching that son? You are teaching him that that is the role that his partner should play in his world. Ouch. And possibly even worse, if you're the mom of a daughter, what are you teaching her about her value and her worth? What are you teaching about what to expect in a healthy relationship? What are you teaching about self care and self love and valuing and appreciating and loving yourself? And I promise you that that impacts people, and I don't want to say that it impacts one more than the other, but when a girl grows up feeling unvalued and not important, what does she carry into her adulthood? What kinds of positions might she put herself in that could be detrimental, that could be completely dangerous? Same thing for boys, different, but same, right? So what are we teaching them? Um, yeah. And then we start to think about the health. So if you are constantly going through life running, it will take a toll on you, right? We hear all the time doctors and professional people talking about stress, talking about the impact that the stress will have on a person, talking about the illnesses that are caused by stress. So I made a really quick list this morning, and like it took me about 30 seconds to think, okay, so people who have digestive issues, people who have heart problems, you know, stroke, weight. If you are somebody who carries a lot of extra weight, that may well be because you are not providing yourself space to have fun and take care of yourself. The stress level and what it does, what is that thing that they call cortisol? Cortisol is the thing that they talk about. There are problems with pancreas. There are problems with like all kinds of things in your body, not even talking about the mental health issues that are caused or aggravated by stress. We're not even talking about those things, guys. And like, how many of us have friends or have ourselves that we see the toll that these things are taking on them? We can't do anything to change it, but just consider those things. And you got to ask, we're going to talk in the next segment about what this really is, what this thing about rescuing really is. Yeah, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but we're going to talk about that in our next segment. But who are you doing a favor? Who are you doing a favor by doing this? And in what way? Ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself those questions, because um, those are the things that we don't think about. We come from this place of wanting to be of help and all of that kind of stuff. Understandable, because a lot of us, that's how we love. That's how we love. Being of service is one of the five love languages. And if you haven't read that book, highly recommend it. But being of service is one of the love languages. It's how some people show their love and some people receive those those lessons and those yummy emotions that come along with feeling like somebody actually loves you. Okay. So when we really boil it down, though, If we are in a position where we are stressed hours a day and there's never enough time. There's never enough time to get done all of the things that we want to do. There's never enough time to rest. There's never enough time to go to the spa. There's never enough time to meet with our friends. There's never enough time to go and take a dance class or an art class or a cooking class or something special, just wonderful for you. If we are living in that space, it will take a toll on us. It will take a toll on our physical body, and it may well impact the time that you will be on this planet, right? Your life expectancy is dramatically reduced by stress. So these are the kinds of things that we need to think about. Do you want to be here for a little bit longer so you can love your grandkids, so you can, be that? I have this vision of myself as that old crone type lady with all of the wisdom and all of the patience and love and kindness that comes at the end of a life well lived. I have my vision of myself as that person, and I want to get there. I want to reach that place where I can become that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if we are constantly living under stress, are we ever going to get there? And who do we help if we're not here? These are some of the things that we need to think about, guys. Yeah. So we're going to head to our next break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about what you are actually creating by donning your cape and tights and how to let that go so you can use those emotional resources in your own life. We'll be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about some really great stuff, becoming a reformed rescuer. Ha, can you do that? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you really briefly a couple of very important things that are going on in my world. So I would like to invite you to go and find me on Facebook. So Phoenix Coaching London, I believe, is the Facebook handle. I don't even know what to call it. I am telling you guys, I am like so throwing myself into the deep end with this technology stuff because it is not my forte, and I am learning crazy, wonderful stuff this year. So find us on Facebook. We just started last night a 30-day mindset challenge. So every evening at 7 p.m., including tonight, including Christmas Day, including New Year's Day, including New Year's Eve, the whole 9 yards, Every day at 7 p.m., I'm going to be going live and talking about something related to mindset. And the beautiful thing is that we're doing this over the holidays because, well, for a number of different reasons, but one of them is that the holidays can be hard for people. You know, there are a lot of people out there who are dealing with loss. There are a lot of people out there that are dealing with financial challenges. There are a lot of people out there that are dealing with fear and doubt and uncertainty because of the pandemic, right? There's a lot of stuff going on this year at the holidays, and we often are not, or we probably are not in a position where we can do the things that we would like to do. I usually have a Christmas party. Every year I have a Christmas party. It is so much fun. We get together, we eat, we drink, we play games, we laugh and like laugh ourselves silly. It is bar none my favorite thing to do, my favorite thing to do all year. We can't do that this year. So we're gonna get together, grab a cup of tea, grab a glass of wine, like whatever you want. Join me on those Facebook lives at 7 p.m. every day. There will be a contest. There is a contest actually, and with our first one that we did last night, so far from the numbers that I've been able to get this morning, I've already got six people who have points toward this giveaway thing that I'm doing. So there will be a draw every Friday night starting next week. Every Friday night, there will be a draw, and I'll announce the winner of the draw live on the Facebook live thing. And people will get points from interacting with the live. So if you like or love or whatever the video thing, if you like it, if you comment on it, you will get 1 point for each of those things. If you share it, you will get 5 points. If you interact, then you're going to get, I think, 2 points, something like that. And so if you come on live and you have a comment and we chat a little bit or whatever, but if you are someone who is brave enough to come up with a subject matter that you would like to discuss, or if you're willing to get on there and interact with me so that we can actually work on whatever it is that you're working on, you're going to get 10 points for that. So for every 5 points that you accumulate, you are going to get a ballot with your name on it put into the box for the following week's draw. So every week I will be emptying that box. The more you interact, the more you get involved with these live videos, the better your chances are to win. And you're going to win a 60-minute one-on-one call with me. It's a mindset discovery call, and we can get, believe me, we can get a lot done to help you position your mindset in a different place. So you're starting 2021 with a better handle on some of the stuff that you may not even realize that you're working with, and getting that into a positive, supportive, that subliminal soundtrack, right? We're building that into a positive and supportive subliminal soundtrack to help you move towards success, to help you break through your limiting beliefs and break through your challenges. And that's the stuff that we talk about. That's the stuff we talk about on the show. It's the stuff that I talk about with my clients. It's going to be great. So find us on Phoenix Coaching London on Facebook, and get involved with that. Get involved with that. I would love to have a conversation with you one on one, and I would love to have a whole bunch of names to pick from. Yeah, so that's the exciting news as of right this moment. So now we're going to get back to our show. And today's show is called Becoming a Reformed Rescuer. We're talking about why we feel the need to don our capes and tights and swoop in to rescue people, and how to let go of all of that so we can use those emotional resources in our own lives to create the things that we really do desire, right? Yay. All right. So this is the part where we're going to get really honest. We're going to get really honest, and we're going to call this thing what it is. All right. So when we are in this position of donning our capes and tights, there are some really clear things that we are doing that we probably don't even know that we're doing. Because again, you know, for me at least, and I think for a lot of people who find themselves in this position, we really are coming from a place of love. We really are coming from a place of wanting to be of service. We've already talked about some of the problems that that can create. But, you know, I was thinking this morning and I was like, interesting, interesting, because what happens? People rebel, teenagers rebel, spouses rebel, friends rebel, because what it feels like on the other side of that conversation, what it can feel like if people don't understand where we're coming from or what we're attempting to do, it can feel like control. It can feel like control. And when do teenagers rebel the worst? When they feel like their parents are trying to control them. When do we find ourselves in positions of that in our relationships with our friends, with our spouses, with our parents, with our people rebel. They get pissed off. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a grown ass woman. Don't tell me what to do. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's that energy of shifting into I want to be a contribution. I want to be a contribution. I don't want to control you or the situation or the circumstances. That's not my desire. I want to support you and support our family unit, to support our community, to support your business, to support whatever, right? Whatever it is, I want to come from a place of contribution and support because people can understand that in a different way. They can feel that in a different way. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know this is kind of tricky because for me, it was a like a radical mindset shift to start to understand what I was actually doing and being perceived as from the other side because that was never my intention. It was never my intention to try to control anybody. I thought I was kind of smart, and I am. I am very smart. And sometimes oh man, I've got an answer, or I've seen that before. I know exactly what this looks like. But if I take that away from you, what are you learning? If that's part of your path, if that's part of your growth, if that's part of the thing that you are meant to do on this planet, what am I accomplishing by taking that away from you? I might cause you to feel like I'm indispensable. Oh, indispensable. Mm. I don't like the energy of that anymore. I used to like the energy of that, and I used to think that that was very important because if somebody can't replace you, then you're set, right? But I didn't realize or I'd forgotten about the other side of it. People will rebel against you if they feel that you are coming from that place. And man, there goes your indispensability, doesn't it? They'll rebel. They'll throw you out of their lives. They'll throw you out of the job or like whatever. So the energy that we approach these things with is so, so, so very important. And also, what I realized was that this is coming from a place of fear. If we call it what it really is, it's coming from a place of fear. I want to be indispensable to you so that I don't have to worry about you leaving. I want to be indispensable to you so that I have job security. I want to be indispensable to you for whatever reason, fill in the blank, but it boils down to fear. The other piece is, especially in the position of motherhood. If you love your children, and most of us, man, that's most of us, that's like, oh man, that's the spot, right? It is not only painful to watch them walk through very difficult circumstances, especially if they've created them for themselves. Um, it'll break your heart. It'll absolutely break your heart sometimes to see your people having to walk through that. Don't you think? So we're also hobbling them. We're making it impossible for them to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. There's so much around this, guys. There's so much around it. If we come from a place of contribution, then we allow people to learn the lessons that they need to learn. We allow them to develop the belief in themselves. We allow them to develop the strength, the resilience, all of that kind of stuff. And as a parent, that is our job. That is our job. It's our job to create the circumstances for our children so they can learn to survive without us. If your child could survive without you, you've done your job well. That's the truth. And we have these ideas about what it means to be needed and what it means to be important and so on and so forth, right? I- And, in all honesty, there are times in my life when I have seen circumstances where my son, where friends, where spouse, where other people that mattered so, so, so much to me had circumstances that were, um, they could ruin things, and I would lay you money that when I came home 16 and pregnant, that was probably part of the other side of that conversation was what has she done to her life? Do you see what I'm saying? So there's the fear that is attached to watching your children walk through circumstances that they've made a decision or they've done something or whatever, and we're watching them walk through circumstances that are going to cost them, and we know it, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. It is horrible to be in that position as a parent. So we need to shift our mindset into that we are helping them create strength and resilience and growth that will allow them and help them to move forward into this world successfully on their own. Shifting the mindset, shifting the belief system about what this stuff means is how we get our power back and how we actually can become that contribution, can become that place, that person who will walk beside you but will not take it. They will not pick up your load, but they will walk beside you. And if you have those people in your world, I lay you odds that you know what it means to have that supportive, loving, safe place to land and walk your path so you can learn what you need to learn while you're here on this planet. Right? Yeah. All right. So we are going to go to our last break. I am Jackie Mott. I'm your host. This is Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. Today, we are talking about why we feel the need to don our cape and tights and swoop in and rescue other people, and how we can stop doing that so that we can start to use those resources ourselves. And that's what we're going to talk about in our next segment. Yay, the good stuff, the juicy stuff. All right. So I'm going to head to break so we can get back at it, and we will see you in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and we are about to wrap up our conversation today about donning our capes and tights and swooping in to rescue people, and how we can stop doing that so that we can take those emotional resources and use them toward creating the life we desire. All right. This has been I've really enjoyed this show today, guys. It is one of those, like, literally, it has written itself. It is so easy for me to talk about these things because it's been my life. It's been my life, and I've made those changes. I understand what it took, what it meant, what happened as a result of me doing these things. So these behaviors created all kinds of messes in my own world. And I'm here to help you try to avoid some of that yourself. All right. So now we're going to talk about the fun part. What are you going to do with those emotional resources? Ooh. When you make this radical shift in your subliminal soundtrack and you go from this place of, I must be this, I must be June Cleaver, I must be the rescuer, I must help, I must save, I must s- provide the solution or make sure that they follow through. I must make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. Is that my job? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is not my job to make sure that anybody does what they're supposed to do except me. Right? I mean, we want to guide our children and so on and so forth, especially when they're small. But there comes a point in time, I promise you, my son is now 31 years old. There comes a point in time when it is no longer my job to do for him. It is his job to do for himself. And I can be an ear, I can be a safe place to land, I can be the person that he can talk to and learn from, I can provide guidance, I can all of that kind of stuff, but I cannot do his life. That's up to him. It's up to him. And he can do it or not. And he will face the consequences of both of those things. You know, if you do it and you move forward easily, great consequence. If you don't do it and, well, mm, your responsibility, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, what could you create? If you were this person, what could you create if you allowed other people to be responsible for their own stuff, to carry their own load? What could you create with those emotional resources that you have now freed up and you have them available for yourself? Ooh. What do you want to do? This is the part of the show that, oh man, this is fun, right? Because now we get to dream. What do you want to do? Do you want to take a trip? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to spend more time with your friends? Do you want to make a movie? Do you want to do a radio show? Do you want to what do you want to do? This is the part where you get to dream. Like maybe you would like to do art classes, maybe your thing is painting, maybe your thing is, becoming more spiritual. Maybe your thing is doing tarot readings. Maybe your thing is like it doesn't matter what it is, right? You get to create whatever it is that you want because now you are not depleted and exhausted. Now you have the emotional energy, like all of it. You have whatever you need to start to focus on yourself and you get to play with that. Maybe you want to do a dance class, maybe you want to play more, like whatever it is, you get to dream. You get to decide what you would like to do now that you have all of that energy left over. So how does it get better than that? Right? How does it get better than that? So consider the energy that you will now have to put toward yourself when you stop spilling it all over everybody who probably doesn't want it anyway, because that's the truth. Yeah. Ouch. It's the truth. So here's the quote that I want to leave you with. We are coming right down to the wire here and they're just about to kick me off the air. So better get to this, right? All right. So it says, if you are constantly depleting yourself and your resources for the benefit of others and never receiving from them in return, I promise you, you are not showing up as the best version of you. Would you be willing to lay down the cape and tights and become a greater contribution to the people that you love? Yeah, right? Ah, man, it's your choice. And honest to God, guys, there is no right or wrong. I have no judgment about what you choose to be in your life, but what do you choose? Make it a conscious choice and then own it. Own it. Yes. All right. So we are right down to the wire. Next week we'll be back on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Holding Space. What does it really mean? Right. I had no idea. I had no idea until I learned. So I'm going to share some of that with you next week. We're going to be talking about what it means to hold space for someone and how doing that can actually shift the dynamics of your relationships. Crazy, crazy. Don't forget to go to phoenixcoach.ca and download your free article of 3 easy ways to reset your subliminal soundtrack. Thank you so much for sharing my time. Thank you so much for being with me today. I just love doing the show and I love Man, I just love this so much. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope you have learned something that will help you shift something in your life that will create something more beautiful, more bright, more wonderful for you. I am Jackie Mott, your host of Time to Rise and Thrive, Phoenix Coaching in London, Ontario. We're on. That's the cue. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.